I do competitive ice dancing.
It's what they use on the space shuttle to prevent it from burning up on re-entry.
I do very competitive ice dancing.
It's actually starting to look like Justice League 2 might still happen after all, and not just as a dream or a rumor, but as something that could fit right into James Gunn's new DC universe. It's been a long road since Zack Snyder's version of the team first appeared, and fans have spent years hoping for a proper sequel that carries his vision forward. And honestly, who wouldn't want that? Snyder's take on the Justice League gave us some of the most powerful and visually stunning moments in DC history. But even if Snyder isn't the one to return, there's still hope. Because if James Gunn respects the story Snyder built and continues it in the right way, we could actually see something incredible take shape. So, let's talk about it. Gunn has finally started opening up about the future of the Justice League in his revamped DCEU, and fans who suspected that the team's formation was already underway were absolutely right. Now that Superman has hit theaters and arrived on digital, people have noticed how the movie quietly sets the stage for a brand new generation of DC's greatest heroes. Gunn even confirmed that the Justice Gang we meet in Superman isn't just a throwaway subplot, it's actually the first step toward forming the Justice League. When Entertainment Weekly asked Gunn whether the Justice Gang could be considered the early seeds of the Justice League, he responded with a grin, saying, "Yeah, I think you could say that. I don't know why not, but I wouldn't jump the gun thinking that's going to happen tomorrow." That might sound cautious, but it's also a huge hint that he's building something much bigger behind the scenes. In Superman, the Justice Gang is introduced as a group of heroes inspired by the Man of Steel himself. They come together to save the fictional nation of Jarhanpur, showing that Superman's courage is already sparking unity among metahumans. Gunn even confirmed that Metamorpho, played by Anthony Carrigan, officially joins the group by the end of the movie. The team, which is being funded by Maxwell Lord, played by Gunn's brother Sean Gunn, clearly has a future in upcoming DCU projects. Gunn added, "Guy says he's in, so he is in. He probably has to get a rubber stamp by Maxwell Lord, but I think he'll be fine with that." This means that while the Justice League hasn't technically formed yet, the pieces are being put in place. The Justice Gang may not be the full team fans recognize from Snyder's version, but it's an essential stepping stone. The big question moving forward is how this group, which currently operates under Lord Tech, evolves into the iconic Justice League that everyone knows, with Superman leading alongside Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and others. Right now, the Justice Gang does feel more like a B team, especially when you compare it to the heavy hitters from Snyder's lineup. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It gives Gunn a chance to build things up more naturally this time, introducing characters, showing their motivations, and developing their chemistry before throwing them into a massive world-ending crisis. It's actually a smart approach because it prevents the new universe from rushing to compete with what came before. Another thing to consider is that Gunn's DCU has to carefully move past the baggage of the old DCEU. The 2017 Justice League didn't land well with fans or critics, which eventually led to Snyder releasing his director's cut on HBO Max in 2021. That version earned a passionate following, but it also left DC with a complicated legacy to navigate. Gunn seems to understand that. Instead of pretending the past never happened, he's laying down a fresh foundation, one that honors the old while creating something new and exciting. We've already seen that the DCU's world is rich with history. The Hall of Justice actually exists in this continuity, and it even has a mural honoring past heroes. That's a clear sign that Gunn plans to keep some of that grand legacy alive. If he wants to flesh it out further, he could easily explore a Justice Society of America movie next. That would be a great way to expand the lore, showing the early days of metahumans, the origins of heroism, and the stories of lesser-known but important figures in the DC mythos. It would also make the universe feel more lived in and connected. And let's be real, Gunn is definitely playing the long game here. He might not be spilling all his plans just yet, but his approach so far shows that he's thinking years ahead. The introduction of the Justice Gang, the inclusion of heroes like Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific, and the careful setup of world-building details in Superman all hint that a Justice League 2, or at least a massive team-up event, is part of his master plan. The big question many people have is whether this new Justice League can ever compete with Marvel's Avengers. It's a fair question, considering how dominant the MCU has been for over a decade. But Gunn doesn't seem interested in copying Marvel's playbook. He's doing things differently, and that's a good thing. Instead of introducing heroes one by one over several years, his DCU dropped us right into a world where metahumans already exist. That means the DCU can explore its rich world right away without spending too much time on backstory. In Superman, we met a whole lineup of heroes besides the Man of Steel: Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, the Engineer, and Metamorpho, among others. That's a bunch of powerful characters right out of the gate. Gunn isn't holding back. He's giving audiences a fully realized universe from day one. Meanwhile, Marvel has Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars lined up for 2026 and 2027, but DC doesn't currently have a Justice League film officially on the calendar. However, that doesn't mean one isn't coming. Gunn has already written the script for his Superman follow-up titled Man of Tomorrow, and actor Pierre, who plays Green Lantern John Stewart in Lanterns, has hinted that he might appear in that sequel. That could be a clear sign that Man of Tomorrow will continue planting the seeds for the Justice League's eventual formation. It's also worth noting that Gunn's approach to continuity is more flexible than what we've seen before. His DCU is designed so that each project stands on its own, meaning fans can enjoy individual movies without having to watch everything else. That's something that makes this new universe more accessible for casual viewers while still rewarding longtime fans with deeper connections. Another interesting difference is how Gunn handles character stakes. He's made it clear that deaths in the DCU will carry real weight, no constant resurrections or retcons like we often see in Marvel movies. That gives the stories a more emotional edge and helps characters feel more grounded. When someone sacrifices themselves or faces danger, it actually matters. So even though the Justice League hasn't officially returned yet, it's obvious that Gunn is methodically building toward it. He's not rushing, and that's a good thing. The early setup in Superman is proof that the idea is alive and evolving behind the scenes. Once Man of Tomorrow and Lanterns hit, the pieces will be even more connected, paving the way for that big team-up moment fans have been waiting for. And let's be honest, there's still a real possibility that Snyder could be involved somehow down the line. Maybe not as director of Justice League 2 itself, but perhaps in a consulting or creative role. Gunn has said before that he respects Snyder and his contributions, and if he stays true to the tone and depth that Snyder brought to these characters, fans would absolutely rally behind it. In the end, the DCU doesn't need to race the MCU or outdo the Snyder Cut. It just needs to tell a great story that connects emotionally with fans. The foundation is already there: a new Superman, a growing roster of heroes, and a world that feels big enough to support them all. If Gunn continues along this path, Justice League 2 could be the perfect culmination of everything he's building. A movie that unites these characters not just as teammates, but as symbols of hope, courage, and redemption. So, while we might not see the Justice League assemble tomorrow, the fact that the groundwork is being laid this carefully is a really good sign. Every great universe takes time to grow, and this one already feels like it's in the right hands. And if things keep unfolding the way they are, then it's not a matter of if we'll see Justice League 2, it's only a matter of when. And that's that for today's video, folks. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.